And welcome back to another episode of Life Changing Challengers. I am super excited because I have Shruti Sethi with us today. She's an author, she's a holistic nutritionist, she's a cancer coach, and she has a really, really interesting story that's going to completely motivate and inspire you. So, Shruti, how are you today?
Hey Brad, thank you for having me here. I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I I am doing great now that I have you with us on the show. I appreciate it. She also has a book out called The Healing Power Within. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but just so you know, if all of you are listening and you happen to be near her phone and you want to look it up, and she has this beautiful picture of her on the front so you can see what she looks like. So, Shruti, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? Like where you grew up, what was the complement of your family, and what was it like to be Shruti as a kid?
Yeah, I love that question. So, me as a child, I was grown up in India and I was in a joint family as, surrounded by people and kids my age, my cousins running around. We had a huge, huge house, just like a farmhouse. And we had beautiful trees, like ancient trees, and a well in our compound. We were outdoors running around and with school very close by. I had a pretty happy childhood as per se, but there was a lot of things going on when I started to grow up. As keeping I was always someone who was as a captain of my house. I was into sports, I was into extracurricular activities, art, dancing, everything. I was very outgoing, but when it came to my emotions, I never used to express a lot. I thought I still am dealing with certain things, but back then I couldn't understand. So as a child, I was on if somebody, got to know me and they were very surprised that I had dealt with certain things when I grew up because I was outgoing, I was like really aggressive when it came to winning in my spheres and was all out there. I was quite social, I had good friends, and it was pretty happy. So, as a child, I would describe myself as a happy go lucky child, but with very, very introspective. I used to shut myself in a room and really introspect about what I want to do in life, what I want to achieve in life. And I was certainly not very happy with my situation. Coming from a very small city, I had dreams. I wanted to go out and be independent and not depend on my parents. We led a very protective life. So if you have to go out, you have to take a car and drive, and you can't do things by yourself. I was the first girl who went out by herself from the entire nine kids out of the city and pursued my dream. So, that was something. And I thought, I am sure I was a rebel in my childhood because I wanted to do things differently and my way.
So it sounds like you had like an overwhelming amount of family around. What part of that family was brothers and sisters?
So I had around seven sisters and two brothers. Yeah.
I thought eight was enough. Ha ha.
So it was quite overwhelming. Plus, you have other relatives coming in, and they're your aunt's kids and all. So we had an overwhelming childhood, and somehow I felt that I'm not expressing myself enough because I thought I'm a little different. I had different goals. I was not someone who was into, you know, doing a lot of chatting and yapping of for other people or just going and just discussing about other people. I was more content with what I wanted to do and have my own space. So I thought I'm a little different, and I consider myself as a black sheep of the family. Very different opinions and thoughts.
So, question as your family goes, and I ask this a lot, and people wonder why I do it, but there's a reason for it. So, I'm not positive of the culture in India, but mealtime, like you had 10 siblings and two parents, that's 12 people. Was mealtime, whether it be dinner or maybe a different meal, did you have one meal a day where you all sat at a table
Yeah,
together?
absolutely. So siblings, my two real siblings and seven, eight cousins, we were all together. We had different sections, but when it came to mealtime, we all used to sit together and have meals together, especially after school and in the evening. So that was a very nice culture. We had TV on.
Uh,
So we did not speak as much. We had fun before and after, and always before dinner, we always used to gather and play. And our meal timings was around 7 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock, and we used to finish together in batches because there was not enough space. But it was together for sure. Like the children used to eat first and then the elders.
is it high school in India or is it secondary school?
It's a high school,
High
secondary
school.
school, primary school, and then college. So we were in different sects. I was in Mumbai. I was alone, like we were alone. Then I moved into a small city where all of these cousins and we lived together till high school. And then college again was there. And then I moved out of the small city to pursue my fashion career in a big city called Mumbai.
Right.
Decades of living in different cities.
Did you play organized sports during high school?
Yes, I was in basketball team. Then I was, there's a national game called Kho Kho. I don't know whether you know about it, but it's a very interesting game. And we were into cricket and leg cricket, different sports. Badminton, I was really good at badminton as well. So there are different sports which we used to play and enjoy. I don't remember sitting at home in the evenings. We were going out and pushing ourselves to either cycle or just do anything related to sports.
Oh, so very active childhood and very active high school. I like that. So then you went for fashion design in Mumbai.
Yes.
So is that well known in the culture to like we have Milan, we always think of Milan, we think of New York, Los Angeles as the fashion capitals here. For you, is that in India, is Mumbai considered like a big fashion?
India, yes,
city?
Delhi and Mumbai are both two cities which I consider fashion capitals. Actually, I was born in a family which we had textile mills, like textile
Oh,
factories. And we
yeah.
used to supply at Macy's and all back then. So I grew up in a very creative background where we used to go to the factories and learn about embroideries and colors and fabrics. So I was more inclined towards it. And then back in Mumbai, when I pursued it, I worked with a lot of fashion designers. And then I had my own brand, I had my own store, my own label, and I enjoyed it. It was such a fulfilling job of designing dresses and gowns and wedding outfits for women. So it was nice. It was fulfilling.
What was there an end to that for some reason?
Yeah. So, I was in Mumbai. I got married, and the usual dream which you want to pursue, get married, have a business of your own and stuff. But somehow down the line, things got weird, and we decided to just call off the marriage. And during that time, I think it was one of the most difficult time because my business was going low. I just couldn't work. I couldn't function, and my health was down. I was never into, I was always fit as a person. So I understood that I'm fit going to the gym, working hard, but I never took care of the nutrition part. So that time when everything was going downhill, health, wealth, relationships, career, everything, I decided to just take a break and shut my store. I was still working from home, but I couldn't handle the stress of the rentals. It's a huge responsibility running and functioning your own brand and boutique. So I just couldn't handle it. And I decided to work small, like have a small clientele of my own. But I was not happy during that time because of my health reasons. I was not able to concentrate. So that was the reason I started to slow down because I wanted to concentrate on my health. And, I got the diagnosis of cancer while I
Okay, you can't glance over that, Shruti. You can't just say, "Oh, I got the diagnosis of cancer." Come on. But talk to me a little bit about, all right, so you said you started to feel unhealthy. What were the circumstances leading up to it
Yeah.
where you felt like, okay, I have to do something about this?
So there were so many things going. I was fatigued, like really fatigued. I was pushing myself to go and play that badminton. I purposely joined certain things to just keep myself busy because I was depressed. Relationship going very sour, and going to the courts and fighting with each other. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. I was not sleeping well. I was fatigued all the time. I was just in this, you just want to just keep yourself busy with things where you just don't want to actually get into that main issue. So I was pretending that I'm okay and I'm happy and I'm trying to live my life and just come over it. But I was just having this facade of things that, oh, she's got everything into control. But internally, I lost control. I just couldn't handle. I was overeating. I was eating sweets all the time. I had put on a lot of weight. I was bloating. I was nauseous. I had acidity issue. I had a lot of acne on my face from childhood, actually, from the teens when I started. I had a lot of acne, but I never could understand what was the reason behind it. But this time it was like too much and I was just bloating and I didn't have any enthusiasm left. I was just trying to go whatever it comes. I used to like, okay, today what am I going to do? I'm going to go in a cafe, eat cakes, and I go to badminton play so that I burn off that. Then I come back, I work, I'll go out with my friends, and I'll just cry and then I'll sleep. That was my routine that time. So it was a tough journey until I realized that I need help.
Okay, yeah, no, that's, a lot of people go through that, not realizing that there's actually a physiological reason behind it. And it's good that you realize that. So, as someone that doesn't usually go to doctors or hospitals, how did you finally decide that, okay, I just need to get myself checked out?
Yeah, I got a lump on my right side, and I thought it is because of a badminton shot. Because I must have made a wrong move or I must have slipped something. So it was not going. And then I spoke to one of my doctor friends and he told me just go and get an x-ray done. I said, okay, fine. Because it was uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep this side and it was hurting. So I finally went to an x-ray and he told me, oh, it looks some sort of a bacteria. It looks something weird, maybe TB, tuberculosis. You might want to go to a doctor and get it checked. So I went to the doctor. He did run all the labs. And then he decided it was not tuberculosis. We might do a small insertion, FNAC. It's a small insertion done by a needle before the biopsy.
Okay.
So it was so painful. I told my sister to come and just be with me, and she fainted because I shouted my lump. It was very painful. I got it done, and then when I opened the reports after a week, I clearly remember I was in rickshaw, an auto rickshaw, I saw the reports and it said probably Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I didn't know what the heck is Hodgkin's lymphoma. I, of course, Googled it and it said cancer. I must have visited around 10 to 15 websites to confirm that it is cancer. And then I called my parents who were in New York that time. So I called them up and I said, this is the report. I'm sending you a picture. Everybody was so shocked. They didn't know what to talk to me, or I didn't know what to tell them. I used to go to acupuncture because I didn't know what is the reason of my fatigue. And I went to that acupuncturist and I said, he was the first person to actually showed him. And he said, don't worry, it's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. And I don't know, like, it's like I was blank. I remember tears coming out from my eyes and it was so salty. And all I was doing is crying. And it was like, is it a bad dream? Is it something where I'm going to pinch myself and wake up to everything will be normal? But I had to face it. I had to face that reality of me getting diagnosed at the age of 34, 33, 34. I remember. I just didn't know what to do. I clearly, if I'm going back and I'm getting this goosebumps on that day, I just didn't know what to react and what to do. I just went home and just prayed and slept. That's it.
Well, The worst part is that you just said, I didn't know what to do. And of course, my next question is, what did you do?
Well, then usually you have to go to the doctors.
Right.
You have to understand what happened. Why did you get the diagnosis? Why was I not informed before? Like a lot of labs were correlating, and my vitamin D were at very low levels. And I just wanted to understand and wanted to know, why did I get the cancer where there was no family history of cancer, of Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's immune system cancer. So, immunity, the word immunity was very new to me, because back then in 2016 and 17, we didn't know about it. Of course, after COVID, everybody knows about the immune system. But it was like, okay, now what? And all I could hear was from the doctors was, okay, now you have this chemo, you will have to go to with chemo, you will have to be slow at your work. This is nobody made me understand why it happened, but all they were telling me about, okay, now you have this, you have to go through a biopsy, you have to might do a radiation, you have to do chemo, that's it. Like, I must have gone to 2 3 doctors, and nobody made me understand what was the reason behind it. So it was up to me to understand, because I was it was shocking to me as a 34-year-old, never had any diseases per se. How did I get cancer? What is the reason behind cancer? So it was all up to me
Right.
to take that responsibility, that if I have to live a heavy, and all of these questions, when you get diagnosis, oh, I've not lived a fulfilled life. What am I going to leave behind? How will people remember me? All of these questions do come to anybody who gets cancer diagnosis. So all of these questions were coming, and I said, no, I want to live a life. I want to live a longer life. I want to live a good quality life, and I'll do whatever it takes. So that was my first conditioning, that just take responsibility and understand about your own body and about you. Like, give yourself time, give yourself that break, and
Right.
this is more important.
All right. That sounded like it was a complete shift in
Sure.
what you were doing before. It definitely sounds like it moved you in a direction that you wanted to go, that you should have
Yes.
been going in the first place, but that's good. So how long did you end up in treatment?
What I did was, actually, it was very funny that I did not go to the doctors. I decided that I was not conditioned to just go and take chemotherapy. I was not ready. I wanted to prepare my body, and my mom, who was more into this holistic things, and she told me that, cleanse your body, change your diet. And I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months, and started ozone therapy. I started a lot of small shifts in my mindset, so small shifts in my routines. And I was getting better, no doubt, for sure. Like, the pain was getting less, and my labs were improving. But the one thing which I did not let go of, I did not focus on, is forgiveness, is forgiving others and forgiving. I was just putting the blame on my ex-husband, or I was putting the blame on my parents, and not taking that fully responsibility of my karmas and my doings. I was very angry. I was holding on to that fear and did not know that it was burning me inside. It takes a lot of time. You can go to get the wonderful treatments, but what about this part? The pain is very hard. Your mind is the most difficult thing to control and change. It took some time for me, and my labs were getting better. Then all of a sudden, I started getting more nauseous and more pains. Went to the doctors again, and then the cancer actually was more aggressive. It moved from stage 2 to stage 3. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to surrender. We follow one of our gurus, and he told me, just surrender, come and do whatever it takes. Go to the doctors, and you do your things, but go to the doctors and get your treatment done. So for me, it was like, okay, I have tried this. Now I need to surrender and work on other aspects. So the chemo started. It was very painful. The first two chemos were extremely painful. I thought I'm not going to make it. I told my parents it was so painful and I was nauseous and moody. But at the same time, when you surrender, when you really let go of things and you're living the moment, you meet more doors open to you. So I met someone who, a nutritionist, a guidance, actually two, three of them, who really guided me. And there was this homeopath doctor I went to manage my symptoms. And all he did was, before even getting into the treatment plan, he sat me down. Then there was a camera in front of me. And all he asked was some questions. I remember for 2 hours, I was just crying and crying and crying and crying. And I was feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And then he told me that, you know what, now your healing starts. Because I let go of those emotional traumas and that suppressed emotions inside me. And then I also turned into a whole plant based eater where I used no oil and it was a complete whole plant based diet, more organic and rich fruits and vegetables in my diet, no dairy products. And in like couple of days I started feeling so better. The nausea was gone. I was feeling more energetic. I was also, in the same time, I moved to doing more meditation and yoga and focus on mindfulness and meditation practices. And within those 4 to 5, say 1 month time, I can't tell you what shift it was. I started being more happier, living in the moment. There was a shift in energy. So even the nurses said, "Oh my God, you're so happy and you're so like, what happened to you?" Everybody was like really shocked as to how I changed as my behavior and everything. Even my grandma said, "You are a different person now." I feel it's because of that. When you do yoga and mindfulness and you eat what you should be eating, your body feels light and you feel more energetic. It all transforms you. And I could see the difference. And one day when I was sitting in meditation, some very deep intuition I thought I got, and maybe some download or something that you're healed, your body is completely healed. And I went to the doctor and told that, I want to get my PET scans done. Usually the PET scans are done after 6 weeks, but I got it done in 4 weeks or 4.5 weeks. And actually the cancer stopped. And the doctors were shocked. And I was shocked as to, wow, like, can you believe that? They asked me, what else are you doing? I was a little discreet in telling them, but because when I asked them, they said, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. But then I got more confident. I said, okay, this thing works, so let me just be more into it. And I was happy throughout that journey of, you have to finish the protocol. And when I went to the doctor, of course, again, after the third PET scan, there was no cancer. But my doctors were like, you have to finish the protocol. You also have to do radiation because you were third stage. They were actually forcing me to do it. But somewhere down the line, I got so much of confidence and I was like, I'm not going to rip apart my body anymore. There's so much to do. There's so much to heal from. Let me just give a break. I actually changed the city. I told my parents that I want to move. I couldn't come to US along with them, but I moved to a smaller city and worked very hard for 2 years on myself. Not only my physical self, but my mental self. And the result is that I'm still living a cancer-free life since 8 years. So I do believe that there is some power within you. And that's why I said the healing power within you. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust your journey and you have to trust your intuition. And there were difficulties. There were times when I wanted to give up. But, you have to keep that goal in front of you and why you want to do what you want to do in mind. And I remembered very clearly having this conversation with God that, oh God, if I get well And if all of these things work, I'm really going to share my journey. I'm going to be very proactive and helping people. And slowly, the windows opportunities started coming in when I started telling people about my journey. And they called me for speaking, and they called me for, they were inspired. And I was like, okay, if somebody gets inspired to do things, why not? And slowly and gradually, this is how I came into health and wellness realm. Yeah.
Excellent. I love that. That's fantastic. So did you end up with did you have to go to school in order to be a holistic nutritionist? And because you also consider yourself a energy psychologist,
Yeah.
and of course you got your yoga certifications as well. What did you end up doing what were the schools that you went to, just to kind of give people an idea of your credits and all that good stuff?
I went to Cornell and got my plant-based certification.
Wait, you went to Cornell?
Cornell University, yes.
You went to Ivy League school to get your plant-based certificate?
Yes. And then I did the IIN health coaching course as well during COVID, so that I become a certified coach. Then, of course, my yoga, Ayurveda, nutrition, all those courses were done by a very good institute in India. Energy psychologist, I felt that when I worked with cancer patients, I needed to assess their energy and needed to assess what's going on their mind, because 90% I feel the healing starts from your mind. And any patient that I see with regards to weight loss or with regards to hormones or with regards to heart diseases, everybody has gone through stress levels in their life. And when you go to the doctors, they don't correlate everything. And I wanted to bring all of these holistic realms. So I started working on energies and chakras. And energy psychology is nothing but assessing what you really need to do to change the energy of your mind and body and spirit, everything together, to get to where you want. So it could be a shift in your mindset, it could be a shift in your diet, it could be a shift in what you're consuming as content, or maybe you are in a toxic relationship you don't want. So I try and put all the pieces together and tell the people that, maybe you need to do in this is why there are some blockages which you are facing and you're not able to do that. And I found it very interesting, because I did the same thing in my life, and I was severely blocked with so many things going on. And so I feel that, our health and wellness is not only about living, as I had this notion in mind, you should look good, that's it, and that's health. But what is going inside your body, mind, and spirit? How are you inclined spiritually? How are you with people? How happy you are? What is your happiness quotient? That all combining makes a proper diagnosis of your health. So I wanted to do everything and so I went all out. I'm still learning. I still love to indulge myself once a year into a course. I also did functional nutrition course. So I keep learning. I think learning is never ending.
Yes, absolutely. I, never stop, always finding something new. I get spurred. I'm not a real huge fan of social media for political and news and dancing and all that stuff, but I get ideas. I look at other YouTubers and ex TikTokers and the guys, and I look at other runners and other physical fitness coaches and personal trainers and stuff, and I just get ideas. It's like, whoa, why does that work? And then the research goes from there, and then you go on to solidified researches and studies and stuff. And so I'm constantly learning that way, and it's made a huge difference in my practice. So I will say that I am excited at what you said about emotional well-being actually impacting your life. You said the happier you were, the more that you were able to let go, obviously the cancer got better. What a huge case study that is. But it was funny that you said that and how things were getting better. And then I realized that of my own athletic achievements and my clients' athletic achievements, I realized that when my athletes and myself, when we were in better spirits, when our lives were better, that we were happy, we achieved more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I think about it, where I was in my life at the times that I felt better, I was in better shape, the whole bit. I was also in a good place in my life
Right.
and I was happy. And the times when I found that I didn't do as well, had a misstep here and there, life was okay, but there was something else going on. And it's
Right.
interesting that you kind of brought that to my attention as we were talking about that and thinking about it. Yeah, when you're in a good place, everything could get better. But it's
Yeah.
getting to that place.
I think what made me also realize that you can, as you said, you're right, that, you are at a good place, you definitely feel better, but you can be at this good place any moment of your life. It is in your hands. Your happiness is in your hands. And the tools are meditation and breath work. Yoga really changed my life because I was a person who was never still. I just couldn't sit still. I had hundreds and thousands of mind thoughts coming in my mind, and I was all over the place, all over the place. And I was quite aggressive in my thinking. But when you start, it's the most difficult time moment of yoga is like when I've worked with a lot of my gurus and my teachers, and they started to work with me one on one, and I realized that I was not breathing properly. And my mom told me once that you breathe very shallow. And and then it all made sense, because one of the reasons why oxygen is not reaching to your proper cellular level also correlates to cancer. It's like, with oxygen going low, and cancer cells actually thrive in that low oxygen environment and an acidic environment. So I was not breathing well. I was very shallow breather. When you deep breathe and you take the oxygen, it runs through your brains, and you do the nasal breathing. It made a huge difference. Everything changed with the right nutrition, the right diet, the right mindset. You can be at your happy place at any moment. Even if you are in the shittiest place, you can choose to be happy. That actually changed everything for me. And even now, when things go wrong, of course you're sad for a one day, 2 day. That's normal. But then you pick up yourself, and I said, okay, you know what? I choose to be happy. This is what choice I want to make. This is what I am now. I choose things, and I take the best of things. And I know this is, even if this moment is coming to teach me something, let me get the lessons and move on.
Yes. Yes. I keep thinking about the things that are external to me. So a lot of people kind of associate the serenity prayer with, with addicts. But if you really look at it, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you really think about that, it's so powerful, because the things we get angry at are things we can't control. Why do we bother? Why are we like spending all this energy and time into things that are never changed with anything that we do? That's one of the things that I get concerned with people on social media, because they sit there and they're like going crazy about things that don't affect them at all, and things they cannot change. You can sit there and tout politics and government, the things all you want on social media. Nothing you personally can do is going to change that unless you decide that you're going to run for office. The people that are sitting there and getting into arguments are not going to make those changes. There's nothing you can do until the ballot box comes around. So why bother? Why put yourself through that negative energy?
Absolutely.
So that's one of the reasons why I stopped being on social media. But it's that other thing, is that I found that I took things personal, but there's nothing I can do to change it. I'm not going to change somebody's mind, and I am not going to, and nothing I do is going to change what's going on in the world right there, right now. I can do small things. I can recycle. I can give to charities. I can do all that stuff. I can make the small little implements, but those are choices I make upon myself. Nothing I do is going to make those changes. So don't put yourself through that negative energy and you'll find yourself happier. In my opinion.
True.
Yeah, that serenity prayers saved my life more than a lot. Just to think about it, you know what I mean? I sat in an Ironman, and I'm in my bars, and I'm a 112-mile journey, and rain and wind is coming down, and I
Right.
got to go up hills and go down hills. Can't change the weather, can't change the terrain. You
Right.
made yourself stronger to accept the terrain. Okay, just accept it. Accept the fact that you've got the wind in your face, that you've got the fresh air, you are outside, and you're doing things that some people just cannot do.
Yeah.
Doing something that most people will not do.
Absolutely.
So enjoy it while you've got the chance.
So that's a wonderful thought.
Yeah. So are you still playing badminton?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now. I'm not playing any sports, unfortunately, because just trying to settle in, and I work one-on-one with people here, but I wish to,
Okay.
definitely.
We have the new fad going on out here called pickleball.
Yeah.
It's badminton on steroids. It's kind of a cross between badminton and tennis
Yeah.
and ping pong. It looks really fun. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try it.
I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, it looks fun.
So when did you get here?
I moved to New York almost 3 years back.
Okay.
I got my green card. So I then, that transition was so tough because I was in a very small city called Goa. It's like a fun city in Mumbai, in India. It's like a beach city, like
Oh.
Florida type. And you live such a laid back life. And during COVID, you were in this slow slumber sort of a thing. But when I came to New York, it was so overwhelming because I thought I'm just leaving. I don't know these things. I don't know about these. It was very tough for me
I can imagine.
to follow up with so many things going around. But now I'm kind of loving it because I've lived in Mumbai, which is more like New York. It took me some time to get into the same rhythm when it comes to being so proactive in New York, but it's fine. It's like a part and parcel of life.
Race. You're calling that the same rat race. Yeah. That's an American saying.
That even in that rat race, I think you can choose what to race for.
Great.
So yeah. So I'm like trying to find my balance plus I'm enjoying working here, as it's so much of people need so much of help with regards to their health. They're fed up of going to doctors, and they are so, not only in India, but even here, people are depressed, so anxious. And I feel that I am sent here because maybe I can help people here as well. So it's all good.
Well, I know you can just by, because you've experienced it. We have a lot of doctors that go to med school, they get the knowledge, and then they start to experience it with other people. But you yourself have experienced it. And I know that's a huge difference. Another example is that I was in the military for almost 10 years. And I had officers that had come through college, had gotten their commission, and I had officers that were enlisted first. So they were enlisted, they were privates, and they got sergeant stripes, and then they went and became an officer. And those officers were so much better. They were educated more. They were able to lead better because they knew what we were going through as enlisted. So kind of the same thing. A lot of doctors out there that have been through similar cases like yourself, they're just better when they know how to not only heal, but they know how to talk to their patients. So I'm perfectly grateful to have someone like you helping out people as much as they possibly can. And this is why you are on the show, because this is what we do. We talk to people that have gone through major, major problems with health and relationships and stuff. And then they turn around and unconventionally start something new to help other people, is what you did. I mean, you're a trained fashion designer in one of the fashion capitals of the world. You could do anything, but you chose to help people. So I definitely commend you on that. So you have a website, I understand, that is currently being redone, but her old website, or the website that's up right now, is beautiful as well. So I can't wait to see the new one. But she calls it Awana Health, AWAANA health.com, which will be in the show notes. And her book, The Healing Power Within, Transforming Cancer to Wellness. And that, I'm assuming, is that on, they get that, can anybody get that on Amazon?
Yes.
Great. We'll have a direct link to Amazon right in the show notes for you. And of course, that. And are you on using any socials?
I am on Instagram. So my Instagram is Shruti_Sethi_. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube, but I'm not very active there. But all of the other socials, yes, I'm quite active.
Excellent. I like to hear that. And we will make sure that all of those are also in the show notes, which is great. So grab the book, go to Awana Health if you're looking at either cancer recovery or you're looking at mindfulness and a new approach to health and wellness. Get on the site. She's got a free guide to a medication-free life that you can sign up for. And she's got blogs and a store and different programs, cancer nutrition program, post-cancer, other chronic diseases. She's got a ton of stuff going on. If you ever heard that she's speaking, check out that and you're going to love it. So anyway, Shruti, wow, the stories are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing them and sharing how you got through it. I can't thank you enough for being on the show and guiding us to a way to help ourselves, and then having ability to talk to you and then have you help us. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad, so much. And it was a pleasure. I really liked the show and it was so amazing. This gave me so much space to talk and share my story. So grateful to you. Thank you.
So if you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe, that like, and hit that notification bell so you always know when we drop another episode. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go ahead and leave us a review. And you know what I always say, I don't even care if it's a bad review, because any feedback whatsoever is always going to help me to evolve the show and help more people. So I would appreciate that. So for Shruti and myself, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Awesome.